Hi, welcome to this Julia tutorial. Here in this tutorial we will look at a couple of syntactical tricks around just basic variables. So we will start with the literals of the language. Like every programming language we have literals. For example, we have here just the one, it's an integer. Then we have floating points and even rationals and so on, and complex numbers. So we have basic literals, and next thing we want to do is just to store them. So for that we need variables. There are two kinds of variables. The first one are variables that we can change, so we can say var1, or that's one we can use to store a variable, for example here an integer, and after that we can use the variable. So we can do like var1 and then we can see which value is in there. Here I'm using the VS Code IDE with the Julia extension, and if I want to evaluate one line I can just press Alt plus Enter and then I have inline results, or I can just use Control and Enter and then it will send it to the REPL and see it here, and it will evaluate it. So back to our variables. So we just saw that we have variables where we can store our values, our literals, and so it's a variable, so we can change it. So we can say, okay, now var1 is 2. We can also use the variable to assign a new value to it. So we can do something like that. And after that we can see var1, it's equal to 5. So this variable isn't type constrained, or like we can change the type afterwards. So we can now say this variable should store a float. That's possible, but for performance and type stability we try not to do that, but it's possible. So it's a dynamic language and we can do that. The second kind of variable are constants. So we can do const and say maybe var_c for a constant value, and yeah, we can store, like for example, a literal, a string, and then we have this constant. Often what we do is that we say the constants are uppercase, so that we know that's a constant. Now we see that's a constant variable and we can use it. We can send it to the REPL with Control Enter, but we can't change it. We can't put an integer in there. That's not possible. So we get an error message. Here we see invalid redefinition of this variable. Also here we get the error message. We can see, and yeah, like inline error message. And yeah, we also get like a little problem that we try to redefine the constant. So those are the basics of the variables, and a couple of literals. So the literals are just like in any other language. Then there are a couple of special things we can do. We can say a comma b equals to 1 comma 2. So we can define two variables at once. We can also do C equals D equals E equals, for example, 10. That also works. So, and now if we want to use C, you see C is 10. What we also can do is we can use LaTeX. We can do alpha and say alpha equals sine, so the inverse of sine. And we can say, okay, we want to have, this is alpha, it's our angle, and then we can do sine of that, of this alpha, and we get 1. So we can use LaTeX. What we also can do is we can use all the ASCII codes, so we can also do, let me see if I can open it, we can do like smileys and so on. With Windows and dot you get this panel, and then we can use smileys if you want. It's like, I don't recommend it, but it's possible. Okay, maybe let's, just to see that it worked. That's what kind of stuff we can do. But as I said, there are data types, so we can also store data types. So we can say data 1 equals maybe string. We can store that. We can say data, maybe data type equals int 64, and now we can use it. For example, data type 1, we can say, okay, let's see. Now we can do string of that, but we can put a string in and see that it works. Use the constructor of this data type. Okay, there's also no constructor, string, string. And also for data type, we can do something like that. So we can use our variables and store data types. What we also can do is we can say, okay, we want to store functions. We can say we want to store the function plus, and now we can do something like that. Or so we can say my sine, and it's equal to sine. We store functions, and now we can use it. That shouldn't work. So we can just use it. On that point, what can I show as well? One important function is data type. So what we can do is we can say type of. So we also saw, like, we can inspect which type it is, and that gives us back the data type, and now we can use it as a constructor and say, okay, initiate it with the value 1, 2, 3. That's kind of cool, I think, that this function gives us back a data type, and then we can use this data type. It's just like a variable. We can also store it. We can say, let's store this in some value t, And now we can say t of, yeah, that's kind of cool. The last couple of things I want to show is blocks. We can use blocks like if and else. Like in every other language, you can say 1 equals 1, and I don't know, 1, 2, 3, and else you can say 1, and can evaluate it. But the cool thing here is that we can say, okay, we want to store that. So if result equals, and now this one is true, so the last thing there will be stored in this value. So we can use this value and see, okay, this 1, 1, 2, 3 is stored there. So we can also do something that's false, and then we get back the 1. That we can also do with try catch. So if you have like a try catch, you can say, okay, if it works alright, we just take the try. If it doesn't, we take the catch. So we can say try result equals, and now can evaluate it, and we get our try result. Yeah, that's, I think, the basics what you need to know about variables. I hope you like these syntactical shortcuts and will use it in your next project. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.